Hello everyone, good evening and welcome to Roma Theory. We have got exactly 20 minutes to go until the transfer market ends in Italy. I think there are different time slots in England, Spain and Germany. I know as a fact that the transfer market in Turkey ends next week, but in Italy it ends in 20 minutes. So we're gonna live these 20 minutes together. To be honest with you, I don't think there's going to be a last minute surprise. I really do not think it is going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen on us buying players, and I also highly doubt it that it's going to happen on us selling any players. I think the transfer market is done. But you never know. You never really know. 20 minutes is 20 minutes. And we're going to live them together. I also want to discuss about this transfer window because I think it's time to compare what we've done with the expectations we had back in December. We're going to give a vote to Pinto. And obviously, these are the last 20 minutes of utility for Thiago Pinto, because the second it hits 8 p.m. in Italy, then Pinto's done. Pinto can wake up at 3 p.m. tomorrow because he's done. His job is done. His contract expires the 3rd of February, so technically he will still be linked with us for a few more days. But his job is done, and he's done his job very well in these past few weeks. So yeah, the first thing that I do want to do is just relook at all of the deals that we managed to get and add to our squad, and also players that we managed to sell either on permanent moves, loans, and all of that. So obviously, moving chronologically, our first signing was Dean Huijsen. We discussed about this signing. I believe it was towards the start of January. Ain't gonna lie, I think it was the week after we played Juventus in Turin, because I remember it being quite an early signing. And what can we say? High profile, very interesting prospect, but he's not our player, and that's the problem with Dean Huijsen. The problem is exactly this. The problem is that he has incredible talent, and he does suit what I think needs to be a potential long-term replacement for maybe Chris Smalling in the future. I'd give it a 2% chance we manage to resist Juventus's pressure and manage to sign him permanently. It's not going to happen because Juventus aren't dumb. Juventus are really good at this. Juventus are really good with their youth agenda, in a sense that they know what players they really want to gamble on their future, and therefore they're going to oppose any form of us trying to sign him permanently. Dean Huijsen at the end of the season will be back. We'll go back to Juventus. It was just an emergency signing given to Mourinho. Let's not forget that Huijsen was specifically asked by Mourinho the week before he got sacked. There's that image in Turin when Mourinho was still the manager, when we lost 1-0 a few weeks ago, of Mourinho and Huijsen, having a good high five, convincing talk. It was a Mourinho signing. Would we have signed him if De Rossi would have been our manager at the start of the transfer window? Maybe, but I don't think so. We were still at that stage where we needed a defender, and our priorities in the transfer window were defenders. So I think he's in. Look, he's played some really good minutes. Obviously, he's got the thing which encapsulates him is unfortunately the penalty given in that derby. That is unfortunately the only negative he's done. Again, I don't think it's his fault. I think that's a contact that happens. He couldn't have done anything else rather than kick his leg. There was no chance of him getting the ball. So yeah. He's definitely remembered for that, but he played a good solid 45 minutes against Atalanta, played some solid minutes the last 5 minutes against Salernitana. He definitely knows what he's doing. Very interesting signing. I would sign him permanently to add on and even add layers to this youth project that we want to build, but it's not going to happen. Also because Juventus are going to have and you can tell that they also want to have a very interesting young youth profile. You look at the players they're signing, you look at the players they have. The good thing with Juventus, I think Juventus and Roma's project moving forward are going to be very similar. Problem is that Juventus already have a very strong base, something that Roma doesn't have. And the strong base is that Juventus have Chiesa, Vlahovic, Bremer, all young players. Locatelli, they've got the trunk of the tree. And now you look at the signings that they're completing from Yildiz. I know it's not a signing, but very interesting profile who will have an incredible future. You look at Carlos Alcaraz that they just signed, not the tennis player, the Southampton guy. That guy looks like an absolute beast. So yeah, moving forward, I do think that we and them are gonna have a similar project. They obviously have more money, less FFP sanctions. They're gonna get guaranteed Champions League this season, something that we don't know if we will. So yeah, I just see Juventus 10 years in advance than compared to us. They definitely know what they're doing in a better way than us. But still, Huijsen wasn't a bad signing. Then our second signing was obviously Angelino. He's probably the one who we know the least, because Huijsen we've obviously seen play, and Baldanzi, yes, he came yesterday, but we have seen him play. But Angelino is the left back we need. I don't want to set expectations too high on Angelino, because I think he could become a really interesting player, but I also am scared that he could be another flop. The thing with Angelino is, in terms of characteristics, he is the player we need, because Angelino is better than every fullback that we currently have. But the but is that he has been rejected by the past two teams he played. Galatasaray rejected him, and Leipzig rejected him. Again, they didn't reject him because he was injury prone, and that's different. It means that they didn't believe in him, and maybe we can believe in him better. His fitness is perfect, but the fact that he has been rejected by the past two teams does show me that in these past two teams he wasn't amazing. So I think it's a 50-50 signing. I think it could go well, and he could turn out to be the player we need, and then at the end of the season we can buy him permanently, similar to Sergio Oliveira a few years ago, which we then didn't buy permanently, but I would have loved Sergio Oliveira permanently. But on the other side, I also don't want to get too hyped, because yeah, he's definitely not the perfect player seen his past. But interesting, very interesting. And then obviously the last one is the hit. The last one is the hit, the deal of this transfer window, Tommaso Baldanzi. Very interesting here, because the details of this operation have changed. This is incredibly entertaining to see, and incredibly interesting, because this deal, yesterday when we spoke about this deal was still a loan move. Then, apparently, Roma and Empoli, even after Fabrizio Romano posted the "here we go," they reinforced the contacts and the agreements, and apparently this is a permanent move. So Baldanzi is not a loan anymore. Baldanzi is a permanent move. It's a 15 million total, which we would pay in different time slots. So we would pay in different sections. It's 30 million base plus 2 million add-ons. Very interesting price, seen his age and seen the competition. Apparently Fiorentina and Juventus both tried to hijack our deal yesterday before the "here we go." So yeah, the fact that it's a permanent move, I've got two great things coming from it. The great thing, a good thing and a mysterious thing. The good thing that it's a permanent move is that it shows us that this is the project we want to move into. This buying Baldanzi on a permanent move means that when we have to make a sacrifice in terms of our finances, the Fredkins are willing to make sacrifices if the player is a player who can be part of a long-term project at this football club. And that's the positive. The positive is the fact that the positive is this. I mean, we could go on here and describe it even more, but the positive out of the Baldanzi deal is that we've secured him. We've avoided bigger teams hijacking him in the summer. We've avoided competition from bigger teams, which is big, because Inter, Milan, Juventus, Napoli, Fiorentina, all of these teams are way more powerful than us, way bigger teams than us, apart from Fiorentina maybe. But it shows you the determination that we had to conclude this deal and make it happen. And then the mysterious side of this deal being permanent is, why can we spend money now? And why is it that we couldn't spend money on permanent moves this summer or even at the start of this January window? I don't necessarily link this to Mourinho. Mourinho was falling out with the ownership, so the ownership already knew that they were going to sack him, so they obviously didn't buy the players he wanted because they knew that the project was going to change. That could be a very valid option, because if you are Dan Fredkin, an owner who never speaks, an owner who likes keeping things behind the scenes, you already know that Mourinho won't be your manager at the end of the season. Then and you know yourself that if the results continued to be like that, you were going to sack him. Then it is logical for the Fredkins not spending money on the players he wanted. Because if the ideology now is building a long-term project, then, it wouldn't have made sense to buy players for a manager who in 3 months' time would have left the team. It would have been spending useless money that maybe a future manager doesn't want, and therefore we would need to be. And again, the thing here is that the thing with Mourinho is that he wanted ready players. I'm not even sure if Mourinho would have liked a Baldanzi type signing, because that is not what Mourinho wanted at this football club. Mourinho wanted players who were ready. Mourinho, according to Mourinho, especially towards the start of his experience at this football club, Mourinho wanted big players. Unfortunately, Roma cannot buy big players. So for Roma to buy immediate successful players, you had to buy injury-prone players who maybe looked good on paper, but the second you put them on the pitch, they were absolutely terrible. So that didn't work out, and that's the reason why the project with Mourinho, overall, the project of buying players, selling players, making capital gains, and all of that never really worked out. So that's the thing. But it is definitely mysterious that now the Fredkins are getting money out of the. It just feels like FFP is less of a pain. I'm not sure if I'm the only one who sees this or feeling this, but yeah, look, I think it is definitely. I am asking myself a few questions. Other than that, looking at the players that we offloaded, obviously Belotti went on loan to Fiorentina. He's back in June. Will he be back in June? I'm not sure. If Fiorentina are interested in him, then and if he plays well with Fiorentina, then maybe he can stay and they will buy him permanently. I don't know. Depends on how he performs there. I'm just so scared Belotti's going to now all of a sudden start bagging goals. I'm scared, because problem with giving Belotti to Fiorentina isn't the fact that we lost Belotti, because to be honest with you, he barely ever played. The problem with losing Belotti is exactly the fact of giving him to a team that, at time of speaking, is a direct rival to get top four. So you're kind of reinforcing your direct competitor. Again, Belotti won't be Torino Belotti because we've seen him. But if he gets a consistency at Fiorentina, which I think he can get, because I don't think there's a big difference between Beltran, Zola, and Belotti. If he starts bagging goals, you never know. I'm just scared that he's gonna all of a sudden turn up at Fiorentina. So Belotti gone. Kumbulla went on loan to Sassuolo. Obviously, Sassuolo's objective is to try and not get relegated. I don't think they are going to even risk relegation, because I think there are way weaker teams. But Sassuolo's there. They're a few points behind relegation. They definitely have been a disappointment up to now. So they need solidity. They need protection in defense. And they've bought Kumbulla. I am happy that we didn't permanently sell Kumbulla, because I've said this yesterday. I think once he's back from his ACL injury, and once he can guarantee games with these little teams, and maybe you can grab him back, and you could make a few millions with him, maybe even 15 million. He's still a very young player, so I'm happy that we didn't sell him permanently, just because I think in the long term we could make a bit of money from him. And then Darboe was on loan to Lask in Austria, went on loan to Sampdoria until the end of the season. And then lately, there was an attempt to offload Celik. Olympique Marseille and Galatasaray both interested in him, but according to Di Marzio and Fabrizio Romano, the deal collapsed. Olympique Marseille and Roma didn't find an agreement. And then the other player that Roma tried to offload and is trying to offload in these last 5 minutes, I don't think it will happen, is Shomurodov. Shomurodov is obviously on loan to Cagliari. Salernitana asked for Shomurodov and information regarding Shomurodov to potentially either change the loan from Cagliari to them or permanently buy him. But I don't think it's going to happen because we have literally got 300 seconds left. So yeah, 5 minutes to go. The judgment here, if I were to give a vote, it's based on expectations. I'd give it an 8. I'd give it an 8 because, not necessarily because the players that we bought are gonna be the reason we're gonna qualify for top 4 in Champions League, but because my expectations at the start of this January window and back in December, Christmas time, were very, very low. The fact that we changed manager, I'm not sure if it did help, but we've gone through a transition from Mourinho to De Rossi. I was not by any means expecting Roma to sign 3 players, in which one of them permanently. I just wasn't expecting this. My expectations were probably, in December back with Mourinho, my expectations were to buy a centre-back, and then I would have been really surprised if we would have bought anybody else. We managed to get a centre-back, yes, on loan, but we managed to reinforce the team. We managed to get a left back and reinforce the team. And we managed to get a very promising, interesting talent under the name of Tommaso Baldanzi from Empoli on a permanent. So I'm going to give it an 8. I'm going to give it an 8 also because I'm seeing the start of a new transfer concept, which is young players. And not, moving forward, we're going to see more Baldanzis and less Renato Sanchez's. That's I think the new transfer ideology. There's not going to be a revolution at the end of the season because a revolution at this team is very risky. It means adding more years of patience to a team which already isn't winning many titles. So complete revolution and completely rebranding, revitalizing, rejuvenating the team isn't going to work and isn't going to happen. What is going to happen is, just like Juventus are doing, try to keep a base of players and try to improve the trunk and make the trunk of the tree as powerful and strong as possible. And then once you have the trunk of the tree, base your project around the trunk. So all the branches and all the leaves of the tree, young players, interesting profiles, long-term signings, just like the Baldanzi or just like Juventus are doing with the Alcarazes and the Yildiz, these type of signings. Which obviously is also a bonus in terms of the finances because, number one, these young players don't necessarily cost a lot unless, obviously, you're coming from the Premier League, because this Baldanzi deal, for example, is an absolute steal. And number two, if you want to sell these players in the future, you will make a capital gain. Something that we discussed yesterday. Current Roma players that you could sell for more money than what you bought them, very, very little. I can probably name 2 players that we could sell for more than the amount that we sold them, that we bought them, and therefore make a capital gain. It's hard. Players at this team, the majority of your players are loans, so obviously you don't have the rights to sell them, and the other half of players who aren't loans are players who don't have a transfer market around them, who don't grab the attention and the interest of other teams. So that's it. Right, we've got 1 minute to go. Just looking if there are any last minute signings, last minute surprises, because the transfer market is about to end in like 59 seconds, even less than 59 seconds. In the meantime, now that the transfer market is closing, 30 seconds to go. Let me go get the 2 packets because I forgot to open them yesterday. So let's open the first packet. Right. Nobody cares about that and that. Thuram, rare card. That is interesting. We got Thuram as a classic. Now we also have Thuram as a rare card. And then we have Davy Klaassen from Inter Milan, the blonde guy. Anguissa from Napoli. Samardžić, interesting player from Udinese. And Milenkovic from Fiorentina. In the meantime, the transfer market has officially closed in Italy. So, yeah, let me know what vote you would give to this transfer market based on expectations, based on the players we bought. So let me know in the live chat if you're watching this live, and also feel free to let me know in the comments if you aren't watching this live and you're watching this later on. Vote for Thiago Pinto's job, what he's done, what he's brought, and based on your expectations, what vote would you give to this 2024 January window for Roma? Right, second packet, we've got few badges. Udinese's manager, Cioffi. Let it focus. There we go. Serie B players. Jaka Bujol from Udinese from Slovakia. Messias from Genoa. Ex-Milan player. And then we have Remy Uden from Lecce and Chukwumboikem Ikwimezi from Salernitana. No Roma players. Up to now, we only found Pellegrini and Renato Sanchez. I'm going to stick them in, and then I'm going to catch you tomorrow for another 2 packets. Right, transfer market's done. Let me know all of that down below. Some of you watch JoJo. I do not. Which loan players are we going to keep permanently next season? I don't know. I don't know. Very early to say that. Depends if we get Champions League or not. So yeah. Right. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe. You know, it supports this channel and video a lot. It's free of cost and takes 2 seconds. So please do hit the like, subscribe if you're new. Again, let me know your comments on this January transfer window. And it's done. Baldanzi has been officialized a few hours ago. A few minutes, like 1 hour ago. So yeah, looking forward to the match preview tomorrow for the Cagliari game. Talk to you soon. Simo out.